now joined by Abraham Shalev, a lawyer and researcher at the Cahlet Policy Forum. I'd like to speak to you, Abraham, specifically on this relationship, but looking forward and looking how it may grow with that support of Donald Trump. There has, of course, over recent days been a post by Trump on Truth Social that seemed to criticise Netanyahu. So do you think this is Biden putting in a final attempt and Biden's administration to continue that relationship? And do you think there's a risk of that relationship breaking down given Trump's sort of instability when it comes to certain foreign policies?
Well, I think that the sanctions bill, right, shows the alignment of Israeli and American interests far above whoever is the president in the United States, right? The ICC is a threat to American interests and the interests of those allies, right? Here you have a runaway court, a court that's acting without any jurisdiction, that's targeting a fellow democratic country against a non-member state based on made-up crimes in a non-existent Palestinian state, right? And these have been the concerns that the United States has voiced since the very beginning when the idea of an international criminal court was first thought up over 2 decades ago. So we see that these concerns have actually come to fruition.
Looking in terms of those crimes that you mentioned there, you referred to them as made-up crimes. Of course, the ICC has no jurisdiction in Israel or in the United States, but there are several organisations that have spoken about these crimes at length. So where does the line be drawn? Where is the line drawn? And how can organisations be saying something so different along with the ICC compared to what Israel is saying and their allies?
Well, first, again, the very basis of any criminal investigation or of any charges is the matter of jurisdiction, right? The ICC has absolutely no jurisdiction over Israel, which is a non-member state, right? The ICC's bad faith is underscored by the fact that in order to go after Israel, they had to recognize a non-existent, right, Palestinian state, right? According to international law, statehood, the existence of a state is a factual question, right? That there are factual criteria that a state needs to fulfill in order to exist, and a Palestinian state doesn't meet those criteria. And even if it did, right, according to the binding Oslo agreements, the Palestinian entity has no criminal jurisdiction over Israeli citizens. So certainly the Palestinian Authority, which doesn't have jurisdiction, couldn't give this jurisdiction that it doesn't have to the ICC. So the fact that the very basis of the investigation is so shoddy underscores the fundamental bad faith that animates these charges in this investigation.
Abraham, just one quick one. There are other Western nations that have said that they may stand with the ICC in terms of these arrest warrants. In terms of the United States and the fact that the ICC aren't recognised and is not part of US jurisdiction, do you think this bill has any validity, or is it potentially pointless considering both organisations aren't part of the ICC and the ICC jurisdiction doesn't matter? Do you think it's more of maybe a PR move to counter moves from other Western nations? And if so, why?
Under the first Trump administration, Trump imposed executive sanctions against the prosecutor and another chief official in the ICC. Also over investigation against Israel, investigations also into American conduct in Afghanistan. And lo and behold, when this new prosecutor Karim Khan came along, he decided that going ahead with investigation into American conduct wasn't in the interest of justice. Those sanctions were much weaker than what was being decided now. These sanctions have the power to cripple the ICC, and that is fundamentally what all democratic nations need to support. Right now, the charges against Israel against Israeli officials set a precedent that will make it much more difficult for democratic states to fight against terrorist organizations. And democratic states need to stand up and need to end the illegitimate ICC.
Thank you. We're now joined